Need the roll call?
Kara Staten.
Here.
Frank Hampson.
Here.
Dan Roberts.
Present.
Ryan Snavely.
Here.
Kathy Valentine.
Present.
Sam Tinsley.
Here.
Robert Meek.
Here.
James Hart. Rob Glenn.
Present.
James Whiter.
Here.
David Thompson.
Okay. And now on vacation. David around. All right, do I have a motion to approve the June 8th, 2015 minutes and the July 13th, 2015 agenda?
I make the motion. Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Treasury report, Sandy, please give us treasury report.
I will. Beginning balance as of June 1st, 2015 for County General was $1,596,099.21. Revenues for the month were $557,500.58. Disbursements for the month were $514,473.57, resulting in a balance on June 30th, 2015 for County General of $1,639,126.22. Beginning balance as of June 1st, 2015 for County Roads was $649,310.45. Revenues for the month were $195,178.07. Disbursements for the month were $126,106.50, resulting in a balance on June 30th, 2015 of $718,382.02. 1/4 cent sales tax revenue for June were $111,645.62. 1% county sales tax revenue for June was $254,192.48. General revenue turned back for June was $14,988.55. Highway revenue turned back for June was $95,303.77. The half percent state highway tax for June was $41,550.67.
Thank you. Okay, any committee reports?
The Personnel Committee met last Monday. We distributed some new job descriptions and presented a resolution that we will be presenting tonight.
Any budget committee reports? I guess not.
Do you want that personnel committee? You approved it already. We don't have to back to read it. The budget, the committee report.
Okay, do we need to do that right now then?
Sure. Chairman Thompson called the meeting to order with 4 members present. Ralph Wynn, Jim Hart, Dan Roberts, David Thompson, Sam Tinsley was absent. Judge Robert Hathaway was in attendance also. First order of business was discussion of the appropriation ordinances suggested for the recommendation to the whole Quorum Court. Both of the suggested appropriation ordinances were discussed with justices agreeing to submit the different ordinances. Judge Robert Hathaway discussed the gifts for the May 11th, 2015 Quorum Court meeting that had asked to be on the agenda. Discussion was held concerning the mental health help. That was a subject brought up at the April 13th meeting, Quorum Court meeting. Chairperson David Thompson introduced Dan Roberts to address the jail funding discussion following. It was agreed to work toward building an order to move all the jail tax money to the general fund for the maintenance of the jail. Justice Hart made the motion and Justice Dan Roberts seconded the motion to further consider the action and postpone until June. All voted in agreement. Justice Gwynn voted to adjourn. And on the June 1st meeting, we made the large courtroom in the courthouse. Chairperson Thompson called the meeting to order with all 5 members present. Ralph Wynn, Jim Hart, Dan Roberts, David Thompson, and Sam Tinsley. Judge Robert Hathaway was also in attendance. First order of business was discussion of the appropriation ordinances suggested for recommendation to the whole Quorum Court. All four of the suggested appropriation ordinances were discussed with the justices, agreeing to submit the different ordinances. Amy Jenkins, Boone County Collector, was there and explained the reason behind the appropriation ordinance to the Collector's office. Danny Boone, Boone County 911 Supervisor, was in attendance also and explained the need for additional full-time help in the 911 office. And actually, I've written more than I needed to there, but we had a meeting then on July the 6th. Chairperson Thompson called the meeting to order at 6 o'clock, all 5 members present. Judge Robert Hathaway was also in attendance. First order of business was a report from Rita Cooper with the County Extension Office. She explained that the 2016 state funding plan will be in place as of January 1st, 2016. She requested the Budget Finance Committee to think and plan for the 2016 County Extension budget. Robert Hathaway led a discussion on a property in Yellow that is owned by Boone County and explained the lease with option to purchase plan with an individual that is very interested. It was agreed that the next step would be for prosecuting attorney David Estridge to draw up a contract. Dan Roberts withdrew his report on the budget overview. Crystal Grady, County Clerk, explained that she would not be at the Quorum Court meeting on July 13, 2015, due to the County Clerks Association meeting at the same time. She spoke on the subject of the new voting machines and that they would require more storage space since they were large. She also spoke on the Supreme Court ruling of allowing marriage licenses to be given to same-sex couples. Justice Dan Roberts moved to adjourn with Justice Ralph Quinn seconded the motion. Meeting adjourned. The recommendation was to approve the appropriation for the purchase of the video building.
Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to announcements and presentations. I'd like to introduce Raymond Bernard. I'd like to nominate him for the North Arkansas Regional Medical Center's Board of Governors. Raymond, would you please stand up, sir?
That's the county board. County board.
Yes, yeah. I think we need to vote on that too, don't we? Yeah.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All those, I guess we need to do a hand vote on that. I guess we need to do a roll call first.
Okay.
Think we just want people to take all the stuff.
You get a second?
Yeah, get a second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you.
Okay. David Etheridge, prosecuting attorney. I'd like him to speak on this building that we're looking to purchase because it's going to serve him. David, do you have anything to say on it?
I'm going to stay here. I'll be glad to go down to the podium and go to the podium. My office here in Boone County right now is the office behind the pharmacy. If y'all have not been there, it's kind of a dark hole. I have 4 support staff, and I have 3 deputy prosecuting attorneys in there now. And that office handles the prosecution of all felonies and misdemeanors in Boone County. That includes juveniles, that includes district court, it includes circuit court. We don't have enough room right now. It's a problem. Where we are now, it's the best term I could say is unsafe. We have 1 bathroom that functions sometimes. The heating and air system is basically a hodgepodge of wall heaters, space heaters, air conditioners that sometimes work, sometimes that don't. The running joke I make is when you go between some of the desks, you hope your suit doesn't catch on fire next to the wall heater when you walk by. But anyway, we need the space badly, and I'll be glad to answer any questions I can about that. I've looked at the video building. It will meet our needs. Is it perfect? No, but there's not ever going to be a perfect building, but it will definitely meet our needs. For us to get in there, we're going to need some help from y'all, of course, but I will tell you this, I've already spoken with the state of Arkansas to provide 309 and probationers to help us move in there, so that's not going to be a problem as far as relocating all the We have numerous filing cabinets. I don't know the number, you may know the number, but we have a lot of filing cabinets because all the files we have are stored there. We're required to maintain those files.
There's 40 in the storage area and 36 in the office.
And so we're going to try to get those all in one location. Right now, we have the 36 on premises and the other 40 are in storage, but we'll get those all in one place.
And I understand that the ones in storage there's cardboard boxes stacked on them to the ceiling there.
Absolutely. And so it will help us get in one place and do the things we have to by law to maintain those records. And this building will work for us. I appreciate very much what y'all have done to help us with that. And my staff's excited. I will tell you, I got called by two of them on the way over here tonight because we need the space for what we do. Look, we're glad that we do what we do for Boone County, but one of the things we do is we help prosecute cases. We're looking for justice, and we need some space to do that. So anyway, I'm asking for any help you can do for that, and that building will work great. I know there was some discussion about other places for us to move, but economically, this makes the most sense for the county, in my opinion. And I'll answer any questions I have about that.
Do you have any idea how many total square feet you're going to need? Well, just the office, and I don't mean storage.
The way I've looked at it, I think that Robert has said there's 4,000 square feet available to us. We can make do, I think, with a little, was my number right?
The total building is at what, 8,000?
8,000.
You've got 1,500 where you are, and
Right.
you need twice that.
Yeah, and that's
So
what I'm saying. We need
3,000 square feet.
3,000 for that, and another 1,000 for the storage and other things back there. And I can bring another part of my office in there, which is the drug task force, if we need to. That's available to help defray some of the expense, but only if there's enough space will I bring the task force in there. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. First of all, are we required by statute to keep hard copies of those records?
At the present time, we are. I will tell you, one of the things that we want to see happen as we move in there, because I'll have the space to do it, is we want to start scanning those and moving those files over to electronic storage, which makes a whole lot more sense.
So that would require a lot less room. Plus, in case of a fire, you can always have backups of those records.
Absolutely.
And second of all, as far as budget is concerned, any extra furnishings, anything like that, are you prepared to absorb that out of your current budget?
I think there's ways for us to absorb that out of my current budget, ma'am, and some other options I have available to me. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
I'm not going to, I don't feel like to come back and ask for more. The only thing that if I may come back, it may be about the scanner to start scanning those documents in, I would say that.
Any more questions from the audience?
I have one.
Okay, Frank, go ahead.
I measured the ceilings over there. We've got 8-foot ceilings, we've got 10-foot ceilings, we've got 11-foot ceilings, and we've got 12-foot ceilings. If your lofts get set up over there in these U-shaped patterns that you've got, you're going to have to wire each one of those, and there's 7 desks, and you need another one, which would make it 8 desks required. Rather than have curtain walls where the wall goes up 10 feet, 5 feet, 8 feet, whatever, you need privacy.
Yes, sir.
Especially in the back conference room.
Yes, sir.
And I'm under the impression, from what I've been told, that you need 19 to 20 chairs in that conference room. That's going to take a chunk of space right there.
I don't have to have a conference room that size. I would like that for when law enforcement is at our facility, but we can make do and not be at that size if we need to.
Right now, if I go down there and I'm sitting there talking, let's say to Wes, Chris in the next office, and over here, what's being said, and the privacy is utmost importance to you guys.
Absolutely.
If that's the case, in some of the areas, we would have to build a 12-foot wall to get to the ceiling.
Again, I've done enough construction to be dangerous, I want to say that. My thought process is that we would have actual office space with ceilings on them so that privacy exists, because it is very critical, because not only do we talk to law enforcement about cases that are going on, and those things, but victims come to my office. And one of our roles by law is to take care of those victims, to help them go through what the process they're going through. It's also about us interviewing witnesses, and that needs to be very private at times. And so we are going to have secured space where we can close the door and not be available to the 3 other people down the hall. Absolutely.
My question is, there's been a $50,000 figure for modifying the building suitable for y'all's use. I'm guessing, I've been directly involved in architectural planning of this sort of thing and wiring and so forth and so on. I look at probably over $100,000 in works. We're gonna have to go into that building. Now, let's say that it's not that much. If you get a better offer 3 or 4 years from now, would you consider moving out of there and leaving us with what's been done?
Well,
Modification and modernization is what I consider being jeopardized here. I can understand, if you get a better deal somewhere else 2 or 3 years from now, fine and dandy, and I understand that. But at the same time, if we spend $175,000 to buy the building and another $100,000 to modify it for your needs, that's a pretty good expenditure for a building that we no longer have access to.
I don't know why.
I'm not trying to be ugly,
No,
I'm not
it's-
trying to be negative about it, but if we're gonna vote to spend this money and do this, we're gonna pay the price, and I mean with dollar signs.
I appreciate your question. I don't plan to go anywhere. My office serves the citizens of Boone County, and we're going to take care of the citizens of Boone County. And the reason I want that space, I'll be very blunt about it, is we can't do some things we need to do right now because we're tripping over each other in there. And I think I can do a better job in that space. I don't plan to go anywhere. I mean, y'all are fixed to make me an office that I want to say thank you again. We're not going somewhere. And I don't know who's going to come move me because I belong to y'all,
For the JPs that have not been in that office, I've been in that office numerous times. For the JPs that have never been in that office, you go in there and take a look at it, and it has nothing to do with the people in it, but the efficiency level in that is a disaster. Every table in there is covered with file folders, and that's part of your operation. You need more space, you need more table space, but you also are going to need to rewire or wire in to every one of those desks and other locations. The building's got good wiring in it. They got some deficits in some of the wiring. But there's going to have to be a whole new set of wires put in that building.
May I interject here a minute, Dave?
Sure. I belong to
First, $50,000 may not be enough, Frank. We realize that. Dan and I have discussed it, and I think all of us discussed it, But it's something we don't have to do the first year. All this doesn't have to be done the first year, I mean, get them in there, get them comfortable. And the back rooms, if we have to do some, remodeling later on down the road, we can. If they would ever move out, it would automatically revert back to the county
Putting up a
anyway.
12-foot wall inside of an office complex is going to be kind of hectic.
I understand that, but, that's one of those things we'll just look at and see. And we'll just look at that later on. Right now we're just in a purchasing mode, and I realize we've got this to do.
We're in a commitment mode
Right, we're in a commitment mode, you're right.
for everything down the road too.
Yep. And we're gonna be committed to it.
If you find a better place later on in 2 or 3 years, you find a better place and you take it fine and dandy, and that it's got to be more efficient.
I don't think that's his call.
No.
I don't see us, I don't know why, I guess what I'm saying to you is I have no desire to move. And I know there were some other buildings mentioned in town, and there's some things that make great sense, but for Boone County, for me to move once you put me in there, that doesn't make any sense. And I don't need that. That's close enough to the courthouse, we can walk easily.
Just so we have an understanding.
Absolutely.
Frank, that would require the Quorum Court's approval for him to relocate.
Absolutely.
That would require,
Yeah.
that would require
Not the
county
Okay, let's
judges.
say we decide to let him move.
No, it would
It's
be
not
up
our
to the
call.
judge, the county judge.
It's not our call, it's the county judge.
He could kick me out, but I don't plan to go anywhere unless y'all going to kick me out. I guess it's more, I don't mean to be facetious and make jokes, but what I'm saying to you is it's not my intention to move. I'm again thankful that y'all
I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying, if we spend a whole bunch of money on the flying saucer and we can't operate it.
Frank, I'll tell you what, we've got more people to listen to. Let's go ahead and hear the rest of them, okay? And we'll probably have some questions for them too.
I'll shut up.
Yes.
Where is this place located?
What's the address on that?
Next to the Subway, building right next to the video building, next to the Subway.
Oh, in that shopping center?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, used to be a B&W Market, I believe. And a
Right.
Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly, maybe, there you go. Right.
Rocket.
It's not too far from there. I don't
Be the
think
Rocket.
it's that far.
Okay, next one is James Sharp, but I don't see James here. He was gonna speak about it too. So I've got Becky Benton, who is with the county clerk's office, and she's also with the election commission. Becky, would you please talk to us?
Yes. For us, for elections, the issue that we have right now is we rely on the Duran Center to be able to use them for early voting. Last year, as we all know, was a very heavy voting season for us. And I started 2013, I believe. Yeah, in 2013 I started, and I had my first school election then. So I started reserving dates for 2014 being an election year. So started reserving those dates, and then I said, okay, being as you're already partway booked, let's look and see what we're looking at in 2016. So back in 2013, they were already booked for some of our dates that we need in 2016. The issue that we have is when we start moving early voting from one location to another, voters get confused. They get very upset. Our early voting turnout is about 60% on a presidential election, which is what we're looking at. So for us to do a primary in one location and then the general, basically I have nowhere to have a general early voting for 2 weeks. We can't do it at a church because whatever room they give us cannot be accessed for 2 weeks. So then the church is looking at not being able to have Sunday school classes or children's church or whatever functions they have. And then you run into having it like maybe at a school. Well, then you run into the public safety issues of having children around, so on and so forth. So that is our big issue, is changing it from location to location. And then at the Duran Center as well, we have parking because they can't just say, okay, you're going to be the only event for 2 weeks. You can't have anybody else here. So when we do have it, as most of you know, you can't find a place to park. You know, we have elderly people that are having to walk a block or two over, and then once you get in, all the way down the hall. So for us, it's mainly that. The next thing is the state's looking at getting us new voting equipment. And what we have now is pretty compact when it's all folded down, and I can stack them up against each other. And we actually have them stored in this room back here. The new stuff that we have are not compact. They take up a lot more room. Currently, the amount of space that I have here is not going to hold it all. So I have nowhere to go with it. I cannot put it in the basement at the courthouse because of the humidity and the rain factor. It has to stay in a constant environment. So I really have nowhere to put our new equipment once we do get it for use. And then, so that building for us is going to serve pretty much as election night central. So people, instead of coming to the courthouse and not having parking, it would all be there. All of our training for the poll workers would all take place there. Pretty much I would take what I have in this building here, as well as what is in the basement of the courthouse, and it would all go to that one location. So it would be freeing up some storage, as well as they have the problem with storage. So we have files that have to be kept for 7 years. So when you start taking boxes from elections for the past 7 years and you start stacking them up, you run out of room pretty fast. So we're hoping that we will be able to take what room we have over there, make a nice, decent size early voting, open floor plan early voting to set the machines up. And then on election night, as results come in, have chairs set up for everybody to be able to sit while they're waiting on results. And then in the back, we would have sectioned off for all of our storage, all of our supplies for the poll workers. It would have on the side that we're looking at taking has a little loading dock, so it would help us when we load it into the van and unload. So it's what's saving on the wear and tear of the machines, which they only have a 10-year life expectancy. So the more we can save on the wear and tear, the better off we are. Other than that, if you guys have any questions.
On your, what is this, I didn't quite understand this 2-week thing you were talking about.
Early voting for a primary, we have to have it for 2 weeks before election day. So it runs
Oh,
from,
and that's, your vote, early voting runs.
early
2
voting
weeks.
is for 2 weeks. For a school election, or a runoff election, it's just for 1 week. So when we have it at a place, for instance, if we were to find a church that would be willing, whatever space they gave us, they wouldn't be able to access it for 2 weeks.
I understand that. You're voting during that period.
And then on top of that, you run into issues where, of a night after we leave, we lock the door and we go home, thinking no one else is going to go in there. But, we had an instance at the Duran Center where they had a new maintenance guy, didn't quite realize, went in to vacuum the floor. That runs into an issue for us when it comes to voting, because it all has to stay secure. So if we had our own building and our own place, once we lock the key at night, then we know maintenance isn't going to get in there. We know no one's going to have access to that. So, a security issue for that.
Becky, you know how many square foot you will need?
About the 4,000. I know that Crystal has talked, and there is a section in the center to give up for the drug task force, so they can come over there and be a part. But then the rest of it, between what storage I would need, preparation area, and then the rest basically to store the boxes for election materials. So, and we got to remember, elections are only every other year. So odd years, we only have the school election, not a big deal. So on the odd years, for instance, if you guys were to have some major county thing that you need a meeting space for, that room could be opened up and used for that. Now during an election year, it's going to be used on a regular basis. But every other year, there's always that possibility that if another committee or a group needs a space, that it is there. So it's not like we're the only ones that can use it. No sense in it being sitting empty.
In order to do that, though, wouldn't the voting machines have to be locked up in a room?
Well, in the back, we can do that. And when we don't have an election going on, there's no law that says that they have to stay locked up and accessible. It's during election time. Once I prep a machine and get it ready for voting, and I have my election coded, that's when everything has to stay still from that time until we read in results. But yes, we need it to be secure, so, the machines are quite expensive, so we just don't need anybody having access to that space.
Your mainframe, computer in the law, this mainframe is supposed to be locked up, secured. That's upcoming?
It's coming, yes, sir.
So you're gonna have to have some kind of vault situation there for y'all.
Yes, but it's a fairly simple thing for us to do in an office. It's not going to be hard, based on what the prosecuting coordinator's office tells us, so we can do that.
Okay. How many machines are you talking about here as far as that store?
Currently, right now, we have 82 IVO machines. And then I have one machine that's called the M100. Not many people have seen that, but it is just a big, clunky piece of machine that we read our paper ballots through that reads those. A few of you have seen that. And then I have all my coding equipment, which consists of a computer, a BOD printer, which is a ballot on demand printer, so we're able to print our own ballots. And then, of course, all my files and everything for that. So,
how many of these old machines are you going to get rid of?
all of them.
Okay, so that's
actually
free up space, right?
They actually belong to the state. The Secretary of State's office, Christine, I'm not for sure what year it was.
It's
2007?
10 years, yeah.
2006, 2007, at some point in there, the Secretary of State's office furnished us with what we currently have, the system that we currently have. At that time, they said the life expectancy of those were 10 years. We have gone beyond that. We're pushing, I'm crossing my fingers we'll make it through the school election on these things.
Okay, but all the older machines, once they send you the new ones, they all go back so that you don't have to,
correct.
You're not wasting storage space.
Correct. These are going to go back, and what the Secretary of State's office, I don't know what their plan is. I've heard a couple of different things, but I don't know for sure. One is to give it to some counties who need some backup in case if they had something go down, and they would have a few extra backups because they're only doing four counties this year, and then they're talking about doing more next. But everything would go back to them, and either they would send it as a trade-in to ES&S, which is currently the company we're using, or they would disperse them through the other counties in Arkansas. But yeah, I won't have any of it. It'll all be brand new.
Hate to keep asking for these things. These things gonna be secure enough you can't get hacked?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just have one quick question, out of curiosity. Why did we stop doing early voting in the courthouse basement?
Part of it is parking. Whenever we have court, Miss Susie, she's gotten married, Layton. She is now doing her court over there as well. So whenever we have court there, there's no parking. That's one issue. And then two is handicap accessible. For the elderly people, to get down those stairs, we have to use the chairlift. Well, then that requires a county employee to be there at all times to use the chairlift. And if they're not there, then the public seems to think that they can use it themselves, and then it gets tore up and it's out of commission. And then the next issue is all the dampness down there is not good for the equipment. It can't hold up to that.
Okay, thank you.
So,
I'd like to add too, that these voting machines are larger than the ones we have now. Is that
Yes.
correct, Becky?
yes.
And also, we're blessed to be one of the 4 counties in the state to get these new machines first.
Yeah, it's a privilege.
You bet,
It's
right.
very much a privilege to be chosen.
And am I correct that we do not have to pay for these new machines?
You are correct. Everything is being, per se, donated from the Secretary of State's office. It's all going to belong to them. It's not going to be listed on our fixed assets. None of that stuff. It's going to come with their serial tag numbers. It's going to be theirs for us to use for the 10 years. And then who knows after that, we'll see. But
Your tax dollars at work.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Betty. Okay, let's get on with new business.
No. I think it's everything.
Did you have what? Okay. Let's move on to new business then. First is appropriation ordinance to transfer funds to pay for the building at 414 West Central in Harrison, Arkansas, known as the Vision Video Building. This is submitted by Justice Roberts.
I move to have the clerk read this appropriation order, please.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance amending the annual budget for Boone County for the fiscal year 2015 and authorizing the county judge to administer such budget and for other purposes. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Boone County, Arkansas. Section 1. The following appropriation shall be made from the Boone County General Fund number 1000 to 1000-0111-4002, County Buildings, Capital Outlay, County Buildings, $175,000. To 1000-0111-3100, County Buildings, Other Services and Charges, Other Miscellaneous, $550. This sum, $175,000, is appropriated to fund the purchase of a commercial building at 414 West Central, Harrison, Arkansas. This sum, $550, is appropriated to cover closing costs of the aforementioned purchase. Section 2. If any provision or section of this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions and sections of this ordinance, and to such end, the provisions and sections of this ordinance are declared to be severable. Section 3. This ordinance herein enacted is an appropriation ordinance, and therefore it is effective immediately.
I move to approve.
Second.
Need to have discussion first. Any discussion? Any from the audience?
Dan, is any of the money from the sale of the other building going to be put into this new building, or is this just standing alone?
Right now, the other building in Yovel, that's one you're talking about?
Yes.
Right now, it hasn't sold.
Okay, so this is just a standalone
Standalone,
deal.
right now, yes.
What about when we do sell it, is that going to be put back into to offset this, or is that going to be used maybe to help renovate this building?
That's something we'll just have to look at.
It goes back to the general fund.
Yeah, it'll go back to the general fund, and then we'll go from there. Okay, any more questions? I guess we do a roll call vote.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Brian Snavely,
Yes.
Kathy Valentine,
Yes.
Sam Tinsley,
Yes.
Robert Meek,
Yes.
Ralph Quinn,
Yes.
James Widener,
Yes.
Kara Staton,
Yes.
Frank Hansen.
Yes.
Ordinance passes. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a resolution of Boone County Quorum Court to support the rights of the county clerk and county clerk deputies matters of the issuance of marriage license to same-sex couples. This was submitted by Justice Staton. Would you like to,
I move that it be read in its entirety.
Second.
all those in favor? All those opposed?
Be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Boone County, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution of the Boone County Quorum Court to support the rights of the county clerk and his or her deputies in matters of the issue of 95% of legal voters. Therefore, be it resolved that although the staff of the county clerk's office is required to comply with the law, the Boone County Quorum Court supports the county clerk and his or her deputies' individual right to refrain from issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples when said action conflicts with strongly held religious beliefs. I move that we pass.
Second.
Any questions?
I'd like to ask David's opinion on this.
This is my opinion as the attorney for the county of Boone. I want everybody to understand that before I go any further. I have read the case, and what I would say to you is this, that the county needs to be very, very careful in which way they move with this, because if someone comes to the county clerk's office and asks for a marriage license to be issued, and that marriage license is not issued, I believe that we're in violation of the terms and conditions of that case, and everyone needs to know that. And I think that's the place you get to. If there's someone who's going to issue the license, you're fine, but I think if a time comes where everyone says there's no one here who's going to do that, I think the county has placed themselves at some risk.
Here, could you read that last statement again?
Therefore, be it resolved that although the staff of the county clerk's office is required to comply with the law, the Boone County Quorum Court supports the county clerk and his or her deputies' individual right to refrain from issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples when said action conflicts with strongly held religious beliefs.
I have been advised that those of us quorum court members who have been doing marriages, if we do one, we do them all, and therefore I'm withdrawing mine entirely from that. I don't do marriages anymore at all. We're in violation if we do.
Is it your opinion, David, that the resolution is telling the court clerk employees not to perform marriages?
It's just a resolution. You're not telling them they can or can't do something, but you're supporting that decision if they were to make it, is what that resolution. And I'm just answering the question that you're asking to me. If that's what you're saying, is you support the decision if they choose not to perform the duties they're required to by the present law of the United States.
Would it, if from there to there, remove, would say,
I would say if you were to tinker with that, you could probably do that, yes.
and that was what I'm asking most of that. Remove everything from where it says, therefore be it resolved that although the staff of the county clerk's office is required to comply with the law, who can supports the county clerks and their deputies, and that's about as far as we can go with it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ralph. Where do you want to cut it off at?
After the word deputies, yeah. I mean, everybody's gonna know that we support them, although they have to comply with the law.
What do you think, Kathy?
I believe that's what it's stated in the law, is that they are.
Well, the only thing is, we're saying that they have the right to refrain from issuing marriage license to same-sex couples when said action conflicts with their religious belief. It doesn't matter whether their religious beliefs are, the law says they got to do it. I mean, if they don't, somebody in that office has got to do it, right? I'm with you 100% here, but I think we need to be careful what we want to say.
Well, the thing is, Sam, is I talked to Chris a little bit about this. The office issues the marriage license, not the individual, okay?
Yeah.
Per se. The office issues that license. There will be somebody, I'm sure, in that office that will issue that license. One person may not want to, that's okay.
Yeah.
Someone else in there, I'm sure, will step forward and do that. And I don't have a problem with that.
Somebody's going to have to.
Well, I think we already understand that. If that person wants to be excused, that's not, falls back on us as responsible, I don't think. It's that office that's going to be responsible. I don't think Crystal is going to violate that law.
Oh, no, I'm
Whether she
sure
agrees
she's not.
with it or not, the office is going to issue the license. They can drive over to Carroll County, that'd be great.
My concern about this as county judge is, by all of us supporting this, you know, and I may be wrong, and if I am, please tell me. By all of us supporting this, if there is a lawsuit, is the county liable for this lawsuit? Because the way it stands right now, if one person, Crystal or someone works at the post office does it, it's on them. It's not on the whole county, the taxpayer. So
That's my understanding as well, Judge, and I apologize for interrupting you, but I have to get this out. When is enough enough?
I agree with you.
I agree.
Even if the county is liable, is this actually, was that ruling the right ruling? We have to be prepared to stand our ground at some point. And if they want to sue us, bring it on, let's take it. But we've got to stand up. I understand, Justice Roberts, I truly do. But when are you prepared to say, I've given up enough of my freedoms? When you are being told that you have to choose between your personal, deep felt religious beliefs and putting food on your table, you tell me where that's fair.
Apparently your boss, or I should say the boss of the clerk's office, she says that they will issue licenses to anyone who requests them as required by law.
And I believe that they will. But I am referring to the federal government, again, putting their hands where it don't belong.
Well, as it stands right now, it's just an individual's choice whether they obey a law or not, this one or anything else.
I agree, but I think even if the county was to be put on the line, I think at some point we've got to take a stand And we've got to do it pretty soon because the federal government is coming at us. And we are the local government for Boone County. We should matter what we think.
I understand that, Karen, but I just.
And I apologize for the rant, everybody, but I feel very strongly about
Well, I think a
this.
lot of people do, but we may be trying to read more into this issue than what's really here. It's that the office will issue the license.
Yes, they will.
Now, whether Robert Meek's personal belief enters into this, I would like to think when it comes to man's law or God's law, I will step on the side of God. I hope that I have that courage enough to do that. So there's where I say it's just a matter of individual preference, whether they draw the line or not. This resolution, I don't have a problem with it at all. Matter of fact, I'm for it. Because somebody personally won't ask me what I think, I'll sure tell them. But I don't think we've got an issue going here other than just personal airing of our
And I agree,
opinions.
and I apologize, Judge, if it sounds like I was attacking you, but,
No.
I mean, I get so tired of, I mean, what is the point? If they can come in and backdoor us left and right, and when they start messing with people's freedom to believe what they believe, and it's like I said earlier to someone, it's not me. I don't want to judge somebody and their lifestyle. There's somebody else that's going to judge those people. I'm a sinner. I'll be a sinner when I die, and thank God somebody is going to show me a little mercy. Thank you. But I still have a right in this country to believe what I believe. And if I cannot act on my beliefs, then what good are they? So I'll shut up now.
But your, what is it, the Act, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago, the citizens of Arkansas, if I remember right, it's like 74% of the citizens voting in this state
74.95% of the
said
states.
it's marriage between man and woman. End of story. Now, I realize the Supreme Court has made their ruling, whether we agree with it or not. But I don't have a big problem with this. Crystal's office will issue the license if someone comes forward and wants it.
She has made that very clear,
And I
that
don't
there
know.
are already people in place that she spoke to who are prepared and willing to do that.
Are we voting on the resolution as it stands?
I leave it as it stands.
Frank's got,
Question, hypothetical question. What if a big white limousine drives up in front of the courthouse and the ACLU lawyer team gets out and goes inside? What do you think is going to happen?
lock the doors.
What we need to understand here is that this is dealing with the individual that is working in the clerk's office, not the clerk's office.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. ACLU is going to look for somebody's head to roll.
I will leave my card and you can give them my address.
We hadn't crossed that bridge yet.
I'm not against it.
I know you're not. I'm just saying, we have got to
We've got
take,
enough problems with.
we have got to take a stand. We cannot continue to allow federal government to bully
I
us.
agree.
But, and Gary, I agree with you 100%. My thing is this, is do we have the right to use the taxpayers' money to defend what we believe, you know?
I would be willing to bet the majority of those taxpayers would say yes, Judge.
Well, and I hope that they would, you know, but I'm just trying to be careful.
You're right, and I appreciate you being a good steward of my money.
Get a couple of buckets and
I call this
we'll donation buckets.
I got another question for Mr. Ed. I'm all for this, but
Speak a little louder.
I think that at the same time, we can't put the county at risk. I mean, surely to goodness, we're gonna all know where we stand. But is this statement, the last part of it, and I agree with it, but is it, could it get the county in trouble?
Yes.
And although I agree with this 100%, I would make a motion to amend that, because we can support the office and still protect the county from the lawsuit. And I'm with every word you said, I'm 100% behind you, Carol.
I believe that you are.
All right. What section, David, are you saying that would get the county in trouble? Would you read that again, Sam, or somebody?
I will try to answer
Okay.
the best I can. My concern for the county is in the language it says, an individual's right to refrain from issuing marriage license to same-sex couples. I think when you've said that, my concern, if you have a clerk, and I'm a fan of the clerks, they take good care of us, but you have a clerk and someone walks in to do that and they say, no, this offends my religious beliefs, there's nobody else in that office to issue a marriage license at that time. That person's going to come back and say, well, hey, the Quorum Court passed a resolution. That's what I'm behind that resolution, and I think that's where the problem's going to come. I think you can say that you support that person's deeply held religious beliefs. I think that's fine, but when you say they can refrain from doing the job they're ordered, that they're bound to do, that's where the problem comes in for the county.
Am I to understand by what you're saying that every employee in that office will be bound by law to issue that marriage certificate?
If each one of them follows their job description, yes.
But if there's two or more in there that is willing to step up and issue the license, is that individual still bound by that law to issue that license? If someone in the office is willing to do it.
I think it's going to be more, I think that's a good term to use. That appears to be subterfuge. In other words, we don't want to follow the law. We're going to put someone in there who's going to do this. Everybody else thinks it's a bad idea. And I think there's some potential problems. But again, you've met the criteria. They came in for a marriage license and someone issued it. They really don't have a lot to complain about. There's not necessarily any harm other than potential, they might say, humiliation. I'll use that term. But yes, as long as there's someone there to issue a license, you can make that argument.
Then would that not be Crystal's function?
But you're going.
Crystal's function, according to Crystal, is she follows federal law.
Well, then I don't see what.
What Crystal's
I don't
not there.
understand the issue here as far as whether one person is willing to do it or whether another is not willing to do it, as long as it's issued.
I think I'm sorry, but I just can't sit here and talk. I think that what he's trying to say is that if everyone in Crystal's office that is there on any given day, like say on Monday, there's only 3 people there, and all 3 of those stand behind their religious rights not to do this, which is understandable. But somebody has to issue that license. And with this statement, you are telling them that we're behind you and you don't have to, is how I'm reading it.
If they refrain not to do it.
If they refrain behind their religious right, and I'm an employee in the clerk's office, and I say, but I don't have to because the Quorum Court has said I don't have to.
And they said the Quorum Court would
And
support
there's
this.
3 people in there, and all 3 of those say that, then you've got a couple standing there wanting their license.
And it will be tested.
Is that what you were saying, David?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I understood that, but it's just, if you're out here in the traffic and somebody wants to pass you and can't see ahead of you, and the guy that you're in front of sticks his hand out the window, starts waving you around, and you pass, and there's some problem up front, it's not the guy that's waving you around, it's you, because you went ahead and did that person, you saw his hand waving and said it's okay to go. So you're blaming that person for waving you on. I mean, if that makes any sense, that may not be. I don't.
I read a letter that the governor sent out a while back, well, since this ruling, and he said that this in no way stopped people from their religious convictions. Did you read that?
I read that letter, yes, sir.
Didn't he? I mean, how much power does the governor have?
Well, y'all just want to see how much you can put me on the spot.
Well, I think we understand that you're trying to explain this in a attorney's point of view and not David's opinion one way or the other.
I will say this to you. I think that and I'm going to pick another state. I think Texas addressed this in a fairly good way about what they said you could and couldn't do. But I'm not sure our governor has addressed it the same way. I think where y'all trying to get to is more like Texas. It's a bad example, and that's what you're wanting to support. But you're 100% correct. My fear for the county is if this is passed, you have 2 people in the clerk's office, and they both say, we don't want to issue a marriage license, and that person then goes out and sues them, that person, the clerk is going to fall back and say, well, the Quorum Court has said we have to do this. They passed a resolution. And I think that puts the county in a very difficult situation, and there are people who are going to find that out.
But it's resolution, a county ordinance of any kind. It's not a law. It's
No,
just
but
a
your
matter-
support, I think it is a support of a position. You're taking a position and supporting it.
In other words, based upon support of the Quorum Court, I refuse, yes.
And, well, can we not support the office? And, you know, that's what we're wanting to do anyway, without making it an individual rights. I mean, because if they're gonna work in there,
That's our job. is
they're
to
gonna be
issue
responsible for it.
I agree, but let me ask you a question. If we're supporting them, okay, what are we supporting them in?
Well, they have to comply with the law.
Okay?
And even though we may not agree with the law, you know, we still have to support them, even though they may not agree with the law.
So
But they still have to abide by the law.
So.
I mean,
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Sam, but if we are just saying that the Quorum Court supports the county clerk and his or her deputies, period, we're supporting them in what way? What are we supporting them in?
We're supporting them, even though they have to abide by the law.
I guess I'm with Karen, because if you strike
All-
that bottom, the rest doesn't actually even.
Therefore, just forget that you've ever heard this before. Therefore, be it resolved that although the staff of the county clerk's office is required to comply with the law, the Boone County Quorum Court supports the county clerk and his or her deputies. What are we supporting?
Their belief, I guess.
But you want to strike their belief.
But we're not saying that in this.
Okay, but then it doesn't make any sense. You have to state what you're supporting them in.
How far do you,
There's no-
I mean,
There's no purpose to the resolution.
how far do you want to go? Do you want to take the risk? Because somebody's going to test us.
I agree that somebody's going to
Somebody's
test
going to test us. And I don't think that I mean, we voiced our opinion, and I'm sure it will be on the front page of the newspaper and on the television, and I'm proud of that.
If we can come up with some conclusion as to what kind of support we're giving them, and David, I totally defer to
I'll put you on the spot again.
I totally defer to your wisdom here. But we've got to put something in here that we're supporting them in, because if we just cut it off as that we're supporting them.
If we leave it where we support them and refrain and to do their job, I think we're in trouble.
Okay, well then let's reword it. But let's support them in something.
Well, Crystal has reported, her statement is said very clearly. She requested that language be included to clarify that the office will issue marriage licenses to anyone who requests them
And
as
it
required
does.
by law.
It does, it says that.
Well, then why do we go any further?
Crystal is not going to be their judge. God will be their judge.
Crystal's going to take the heat,
Point of order. Can we,
and she's going to require the employees to fulfill their requirements.
I think we need to move on this.
If it can be reworded that we're supporting them, then it should.
We've got 3 questions from the audience. Let's take these and move on.
I just have a suggestion. I agree with Kara's position and everybody else's. Nobody wants to face a lawsuit and cost the county money. Why couldn't you add in there that the office will have at least one person on staff at all times the office is open that will issue those marriage licenses, so you don't have the worry of 3 people there that would refuse. At all times, Kristen will make sure that one person is always on duty that will meet that requirement. That way you don't have to worry about somebody being turned away and sued.
I appreciate that, but I think Crystal is in charge of that office, and she's going to do that.
I agree.
And they can always come back the next day.
Yeah, but that's humility.
This is for David. I'm gonna put you on the line here too. ACLU pulls up, they sue, are you gonna protect that office to the best of your ability, or is it a conflict of interest for you and your office?
My job is I represent the county,
Okay?
you know, in the Quorum Court. and that's my role. If the county...
They are county employees.
If the county judge instructs me to provide representation to the point my office can do so, I will. Now, y'all need to understand, and y'all probably know this, there are levels that we get to that we bring in some other people to do that because it makes sense. But, my role is when the county judge asks me to provide representation, I provide representation. And again, as in a lot of things, as an attorney, I don't always agree with whichever way I'm going, but my job is to represent my client to the best of my ability, and my office will provide that representation to the best of Boone County's abilities.
So did you have any suggestions on what we can support the clerk's office in and
I'll tell you, y'all are just going to see what you can put what you can.
I want you to earn your money then.
That's right. I think if the issue is you're wanting to say that the quorum court takes a position, again, just simply and quickly, I would say, where it says, in his or her deputy's individual rights,
May I make a suggestion?
yes.
Quorum court supports the county clerk and his or her deputy's individual right to exercise their strongly held beliefs.
Absolutely. And you can say strongly held religious beliefs because it's constitutional.
Okay, so what did I say? Okay, his or her deputy's individual right to exercise
Their strongly held religious beliefs.
to exercise their strongly held. Kathy, what do you think, since you were the one that worked with me in this?
I think that would.
Are you good with that?
So y'all are making a motion to amend this?
Well, I want to, Justice Widener, Tinsley, Meek, Snavely, are you good with that? So I will make a motion to amend.
Second.
I will amend the final paragraph to read, therefore be it resolved that although the staff at the county clerk's office is required to comply with the law, the Boone County Quorum Court supports the county clerk and his or her deputy's individual right to exercise their strongly held religious beliefs.
We have a first and a second. I think we need to do a roll call vote on this.
You have to vote on the amendment first.
Yes.
Okay. We'll vote on the amendment first.
Are you good with that, Rob?
Was there a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a motion, and Sam seconded it. Now, we're fixing to vote on this amendment. Okay, all right.
We're voting on the amendment?
Vote on the amendment, yes, please.
Kathy Valentine,
Yes.
Sam Tinsley,
Yes.
Robert Meek,
Yes.
Ralph Gwynn,
Yes.
James Widener,
Yes.
Kara Staton,
Yes.
Frank Hansen,
Yes.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Brian Snavely.
Yes.
Passes.
So I make a motion that we vote on this resolution as amended.
Second.
Roll call vote on that.
Sam Tinsley,
Yes.
Robert Meek,
Yes.
Ralph Gwynn,
Yes.
James Widener,
Yes.
Kara Staton,
Yes.
Frank Hansen,
Yes.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Brian Snavely,
Yes.
Kathy Valentine.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that very much.
John, did you have a question?
Well, I did have a question, I guess I still do. Prior to this, what would happen to any of the deputies in the office who refused to issue one prior to this resolution? Would they have been reprimanded? Would they have been fired? Could they have been sued? What would be the resolution of that situation?
That would be the first decision on that. Yes.
Just one more question for you, Drew. I'm sorry to keep picking on you. I thought I read somewhere where the state of Arkansas was going to do away with marriage license. They were just going to issue some kind of paper.
I haven't seen that in Arkansas. I saw that potential for some other states having that
Okay.
conversation.
I thought it was, I'd seen something like
And there are some state legislators who are putting together a bill to recommend that.
You guys can ask David anything, because in 3 years, he's gonna be out anyway.
He
Thanks
may
for
be
moving
out
out of his
after-
office.
Let's give it out for a year. I don't know why.
He may not show up.
Judge, if there's no further comment, I move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.